Welcome, everybody, to this session on how to make an analytics report or data visualization workbook pre-filter by library staff per user. It is November 29th, 2023. This is Yoel Cortex, Senior Librarian at Ex Libris. And we're joined also by Rafael Gabay. You may know him as Rafi for short. Rafi's with us from product management in case we have any questions about future developments, current developments, anything else around this. Rafi will be able to assist us. This is part of our ongoing 2023 Roadmap webinar series. In fact, this is our last session, believe it or not, the last session of our 2023 Roadmap webinar series, but plans are already underway, well underway for our 2024 webinar series. Stay tuned for that. This is our series here. I'm sure all of you have the link to this, but I will send this out in the chat right now anyway. I believe most of you have it because I know many of you registered from this page. So we started the series back in February with some resource sharing, and then we went into Alma Digital, the analytics interface inside Alma, digital fulfillment, the unified PO line task list, the user interface for customizing letters, the Alma overlap analysis tool, linked open data very recently. 2 weeks ago, we had the sets functionality in Alma with the new UI, and now we are on the pre-filtering analytics reports by library staff per user. Now, as it states here in parentheses at the end, library independence. This is part of a much larger overall theme that we started already in 2022 on library independence. I'll send out the chat, the link also to this in the chat. So library independence, first I'll talk about it in general, then how it relates to what we're going to be showing today. Often there is an institution with several libraries. It can even be two libraries where there's groups of staff who deal specifically with one or more libraries, but not all libraries. And then there's data which the institution does not want certain staff members to see from other libraries, certain entities, I'll call them. It might be information about a patron. It might be default search results when doing a physical items or physical holding search. And it might be, as we will see today, the data in an analytics report, which may not already contain a filter of certain libraries, but we don't want certain staff to be able to see that data. And we've given many webinars on these. You can see here we've got it for user management, physical resource management, acquisitions, all kinds of areas here. And today we're on this section here of analytics. This is what we're going to be talking about today. So we'll begin very briefly with the PowerPoint, and then we're going to jump right into Alma and see the examples live. But again, I just want to stress why we have this and when this can be useful for an institution. So you might have a law library, a medical library, and a ballet library. And some employees can only see the medical library, some can only see the law library, some can see everything. And you want to be able to limit who can see what. I also want to point out this is not talking about certain member institutions of a network zone. This is one institution. It could be a standalone institution. It could be a member institution of a network zone, but it's one institution with multiple libraries. So let's jump in and see. I don't need the introduction because that I just explained. This PowerPoint, which is also linked on the page which I pointed out before, the Roadmap webinar series, you can get all of the presentations here. So everything I'm showing you can get here. And soon the recording will also be here. So there's links here to other library level presentations and presentations we've given. So there's a new staff user role called Analytics Consumer, library level analytics consumer. And it can be defined for a scope. And then if the user has that data, that scope, then he or she can only see data from the scope of that library. Let's take a look at 4 examples. We'll write them down on the side here so that afterwards we can go make sure everything worked as it should, which we're quite sure it will, but so we see what we're doing here. So let's take a look at our first example of a user. His name is Aaron HaKohen. You may already know him from other situations. So let's take a look at Aaron HaKohen. He has, there he is, he has library level analytics consumer for the art library. That means that if there is a report and the report is defined in such a certain way as we will see, and it contains data from several different libraries, Aaron HaKohen will only see the art library. So let's write that down here. Aaron HaKohen, he has only that. Then we have another user. By the way, I can add that role like any other role. If I were to click here, add role, and I were to say, let's say consumer, just to get what we're looking for. Okay. Library level analytics consumer. If I were to add that role, then I can come along and give that user a certain scope. If I were to say the engineering library and make this active, then he would only be able to see the engineering library. And it's possible to add multiple roles of the analytics consumer library level. For example, if we look at Tim Ashton and we spell him properly, we'll see that he has the library level analytics consumer role for 2 libraries. So he's got it for the education library and for the music library. So again, if we have a report with data from multiple libraries and Tim Ashton comes and sees it, he will only see data from the education and music library, provided the report is defined as we will soon see. Because it's not every report, it's only a report that you put in a certain filter, which is pretty easy to put in. Okay, so he's got the music and the education library. Then we have another user named Susan with a Z. I know it's with a Z because I looked for it with an S several times and didn't find it. So Susan, she also has the role, and she has it for the science library. So we'll put that down here for the science library. And then we have Carolyn DeVue. And she does not have the library level analytics consumer role at all. So she should be behaving like it's been behaving until now. Let's take a look at her. I must have spelled her first name wrong, so we'll put in her last name. Yep, she's without a Y. So let me just get her name here. So she doesn't have the analytics consumer role at all. Now, by the way, not related specifically to our topic at hand, all of these users have these fulfillment roles because I'm going to make for them analytics objects and I want to apply the roles. So note they all have these fulfillment roles. Not related to the library independence, related more to making analytics objects available for them. Okay, so that's our 4 users. And we're ready to go. Let me just separate this one again. Okay. Now, let's go make a very basic report, which will be including all of these libraries. So we'll come into analytics. This is possible, by the way, both in analytics and in data visualization. It's all explained in the PowerPoint. And We will, time permitting, also do a data visualization workbook. So let's make one. Let's start with the fulfillment subject area. And let's do something simple. Our goal here isn't to make a super fancy analytics report. It's to show how only data from certain libraries is appearing for certain users. So let's get the number of loans in-house and not in-house. And let's get the library name. Let's just item location at time of loan will be, let's get the library code, the library name. Let's say it's not null. There's always some stuff in there with a null. And that should cover it for our purposes. So let's make sure we got them all here. So Arona Cohen has art library. Tim has the music and education. So let's sort it so it'll be easy for us. So we have the art, we have the music, we have the education. Great. Susan can see the science only. So let's make sure we got the science in here. Yes, we do. So we have very basic report, but again, the goal here isn't to make fancy analytics reports. It's to show that only certain data is appearing for certain users. So let's save this. And I will save this somewhere where I know we can find it easily when we make the analytics object. So I will put this in objects, DV and analytics, and this is an analytics, and it's a report. And I will call this session 2 because we had session 1 today, and I want to identify what we did today. This is number of loans per library. Okay. Now, so that we can show how the different users view this, let's make an analytics object, and then we'll have them be able to access it. So I will say analytics, analytics objects list, create or actions create or add new analytics object. And I'll go to that folder which I made there. So that's going to be here. The report name is going to be session 2. And we're all set. All we need to do now is give this some roles so that those 4 users can access it. So I'll give the fulfillment ones they have. And just for good measure, I'll also give the circulation desk roles as well. Okay, so all 4 of those users that we just looked at will be able to access this. Now, at this stage, they will be able to access all libraries because even though they have the analytics consumer library level role, we did not make any changes there in the report to make it use that role. For example, if now I sign out and I sign in as Tim, who should only see music and education, he will still see everything, but I want to prove this first, even though I know you all believe me. So if I come to the shared with me, here's the session 2 we just made. If Tim does view report, he sees all the libraries. Now we're going to change that report so that only the relevant libraries or the libraries of the scope will be visible. Now it's in the PowerPoint, but I'm not going to do it using the PowerPoint, but these are the sample users we just looked at. Here's a report, a different report that I made in the PowerPoint, but same point. It's showing all the libraries. And now we're going to add this new filter here. Here we go. So let's go to our report. I'm back as a designer. I'm logged in as Alicia. You all know Alicia from previous sessions, and she has the design analytics role. So let's go to that report. It was called Session 2. And now to add that special filter, which knows to go look at the library level analytics consumer role from the criteria tab under the shared folders on the bottom. I'll make this a little bigger by dragging it up. Under Alma, under subject area contents, and under fulfillment, we have library code active filter. If I was in a physical items analytics report, then it would say subject area contents, physical items. And if I was in digital usage, it would say digital usage. So all I need to do now is double click it and click OK. I'm going to double click it and click OK. If you're interested, though it's not necessary, you can look and see what it's doing. It's running a code in the background, which basically means go and get the scope of the library level analytics consumer role and only display that. So I double clicked it and I'll click OK. Now we've got it right here. Let's save. And now we're going to do the same exact thing. We'll start with Tim Ashton because we already saw that Tim saw all libraries. So I'm going to sign out now as Alicia, sign out, sign in as Tim. And let's jump right in. Here we go. Last time we saw that he saw all of them. And now, what's he going to see? He goes to the shared with me. He clicks view full report again. Of course, this could be via pinned object, whatever. View full report. Beautiful. We saw 3-4 minutes ago, he saw all of the libraries. Now he only sees the education and music library, and that's because he has only the education and music libraries here as his library level analytics consumer role. But let's not trust it that with only one user. Let's do some serious Q&A here. Let's see what happens with Susan Aarons. So if we say sign out of Tim, sign in as Susan, and Susan comes along. Maybe Susan is even going to pin this to her menu. Pin to her menu. She's going to grab it right from here, session 2, boom. Only sees the science library. Why? Because Susan Aarons has only the science library. Let's try Aaron. And so he should see only the art library because that's the scope of his library level analytics consumer. He comes along, shared with me. By the way, this is always appearing on top for all the users because they have it by object creation date descending. He views the report. And fantastic, he only sees the library. But if we really want to do a check here, Carolyn DeVue should see all of them because she's working just like it always worked. No regression. Whenever we add a new feature, we always need to make sure if someone's not using that feature, they're not going to have a change. So Carolyn DeVue doesn't have any of the library level analytics consumer role at all. So she should see everything just like before this development. She goes to the shared with me. She goes to the view full report and sees all of the libraries. So everything works properly. We still got some more to do. Let's go through the PowerPoint a bit, showing what I already did live, just for an extra explanation. Then I'm going to check the chat. Okay, so there's a filter in each subject area, as I stated. You double click it. and it gets added to the filters. You double click it down there on the bottom left. You click OK, just like I did. And it's for different subject areas. It appears differently. Here it's for the physical items. I showed it in the fulfillment. We had these 4 users here and what they're allowed to see. They went in, and Susan saw only the science, Arona Cohenson only the art, Tim saw only the education and music, and Carolyn saw them all. Let me go take a look here in the chat. I did see a question came in. Is it possible to add this filter in the user's subject area? I have not found it yet. Or will it be possible in the future? Well, let's take a look at that. And Rafi, if you have anything to add, go right ahead. But I'm going to go take a look. I know in the title subject area it's not appearing now, but let's take a look. If we come in here, but I do want to save time to show the prompt and to show the DV workbook, but it's very easy to check. We'll go into Access Analytics and we'll create an analysis. Actually, I've got a list in the PowerPoint
support
of everything.
I think we do support it. I mean, you can see the library. You can see the division.
Okay. Well, we'll find out in a minute.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Okay, let's look at it.
So let's say here we want name, and let's say we want last name, and let's say we want. Question is, what the use case here? Do you want the blocks of the library?
Yeah, I don't think we do. I'm
trying to think of a use case for that person who asked it. If you want to give a use case, go right ahead. But let's take a look here. Shared folders, Alma, subject area contents. No. If you want to write in your use case, I'd be interested to know what it is. Although maybe someone else has a use case as well. Let me see if there's anything else in the chat. Oh, the person said, now I'm asking about fulfillment. Okay, I thought the question was users, or maybe that's a different person. In any case, I want to show the prompt. Let me go see what else we got in the chat here. Okay, an example, number of patrons in each library. But what do you mean by in each library? Because we've got library codes for the blocks. We've got library codes for the statistics. What do you mean by in each library? Sorry if I'm misunderstanding. Okay, someone else asked about fulfillment. Okay, so we looked in fulfillment. Let's go on. Okay. Now, it may be also that we want to add a prompt to a report. And when we add a prompt to a report, we need to put in the filter, which we saw now. Let's go into that report where we saw the filter and add the prompt as a filter. And it's an SQL filter, but all we need to do is paste it inside the prompt. Person with the user's question, if you want to send in a little more detailed, feel free and we'll be glad to take a look. Okay, so let's go into our report now, session 2. And we're going to copy, before we begin, we're going to copy the prompt from here because we're going to need to paste it into part of the prompt. So I'll click here, View Saved Filter, and we'll take it with us. It's been copied. Now, we'll add a prompt just like any other prompt. We'll say plus column prompt library name. We'll click the arrow, the triangle next to the options. We'll change the choice list value to SQL results. And here, just before the fetch, we'll type where and then paste the filter. And okay. So now here we'll see it all because I'm a designer, a user with all the possibilities. Let's save it now and see what's going to happen with this prompt. So I'm going to close this tab. Let's go in now as Tim, because Tim should see two libraries, if you recall. Tim should see music and education. And here's Tim. Tim comes in, he accesses this analytics report. He clicks view full report, or maybe he'll pin it as well. Here it is. It opens up. He gets his prompt. Here's the moment we've all been waiting for. Is he going to see all the libraries, certain libraries randomly, or only the libraries he's allowed, which is the music and the education? Let's take a look. Only sees the music and the education. Fantastic. And then he can choose whichever ones he wants, and he sees them. Let's try another user, Susan. So Tim logs out, Susan logs in. And Susan should see only the science library. If you notice, so that I remember who can see what library, our own starts with an A, he can see the art library. Susan starts with an S, she can see the science library. For Tim, I had a problem because it's two libraries. And I don't even know if we have a library that starts with T. Okay, so now Susan is in. Susan, by the way, has her dashboard here. And that's her default, but that's for another day. So now we're going to say shared with me. Actually, I can click it right here because she's got it pinned. And she only sees the science. Everything is good. Let's just go in as Carolyn and make sure everything's good. So that's going to be sign out. Carolyn. Now, Carolyn should see all of the libraries in the prompt. So Carolyn comes in. Carolyn's logged in. Goes to the shared with me. View full report. And sees all the libraries. So everything is good. Everything works properly. She decides she wants just these libraries, says okay, and she only gets those libraries. Okay, let's go through now in the PowerPoint what I just did. Stop for questions in the chat. Then we're going to move on to data visualization. So what did we do here? We want to have that same option of users seeing only certain libraries in the prompt, not only in the results. We went into the filter which we had added. We clicked the little funnel there to view it. We copied it. Then we went into the prompt. We added a prompt just like we would. We clicked the triangle next to options. We changed the choice list values to SQL results. And we get that default text there of the SQL results, but we changed it by adding before the fetch a where and then the text. So here we can see the exact text we added, what we copied. And then we saw that different users log in, like Susan, our own sees only the science library, our own sees only the art library, Tim sees the education and music, and Carolyn sees them all. We're going to skip those statistical categories today. And now let's go, first of all, we'll see. Oh, here's the list of subject areas for the person who asked. Because it's always called library code active filter. Users subject area is not here. These are the subject areas where it exists. Title subject area is not here. And user subject area is not here. I'm going to go take a look at the chat. And let's see what happened. Okay, so regarding those users, someone says in the full analytics report, we have all libraries and the number of their patrons. We want to limit it so that librarians can only see the number of patrons in their library. Okay, maybe we should take this offline because the whole question of patrons in their library, what do you mean by in their library? What is the field that is being used for that when you say in their library? Oh, the scope of the patron role, is that what you're saying? Okay, we'll move on. Okay, thanks for the clarification. In any case, the user's subject area does not include this option. Okay, let's go on. And where was I? Data visualization. Okay, sorry, sorry for drawing a blank. Okay, and these are just examples of where the other ones. So DV workbook. Now, there's several ways, like everything in Alma and even in life, there's several ways to do what I'm going to be doing here. And the way I'm showing is what I think is the best description. And it's also in the PowerPoint. So let's take a look here. Let's make a basic DV workbook, first of all. Or even before I make the basic DV workbook, I want to show something. If I come into data visualization or analytics, first of all, I got to get in as a user, sign out. I'll go in as a user as a design analytics role and log in. Now, before I begin, let's go in first. I just logged into Alma. So I'll go into data visualization. And before I begin to make my data visualization workbook, I'm going to go get the filter. You saw already that I pasted a filter into the prompt, for example, in the Alma Analytics report. So here also, I'm going to be pasting a filter. This time it's going to be an expression filter, but I'm going to be pasting a filter. So first I want to go get that filter. And we have sets of examples ready, like we saw with the analytics reports. So I'm going to go to the catalog. I'm going to go to the catalog by clicking these three dots, 3 lines to the catalog. Okay, so in the shared folders under Alma, we have subject area contents and then all the different subject areas. So let's use a different subject area this time. Let's use physical items. And here we have something called a template filter, just like the other ones that we double clicked in it. We saw the filter. So here too, I'm going to double click and I have a filter on top. If I want to see this filter, I'll just click it and I'm going to copy this. So that is copied. And I need it because I got to add this filter to the data visualization workbook soon. So now let's make the analytics report. The data visualization workbook. So we'll get out of here. We'll say create workbook. And let's say this time we'll do it in the physical items. Did I copy that from the physical items? I didn't even notice. We'll assume I did. It'll make it more interesting if I didn't. So we'll go into the physical items. And let's again make a pretty basic workbook. Let's say we want number of items. I'll get number of items deleted and in repository. And let's get the library name, library code, library name. That should suffice for us, but let's put this as a table. Well, that's a nice colorful table. So we have all of these different libraries. I'm going to sort by the library name. And let's just make sure we've got the art for our own. We've got the science for Susan. We got the education and the music for Tim. And then we got all of them for Carolyn. So I'm going to save this before I put the filter in. 6:36, we got time. So I'll save this. And we'll put this under shared folders. In my institution, under reports, under objects, DV and analytics, under DV. And I'll call this session 2 DV items in libraries. Pretty basic. Save. Okay. Now, let's go make an object. So we'll say analytics, analytics objects list. This is also a nice little review of the analytics objects. Add a new one, the folder. So the folder is this one. And this is going to be session 2. And we're good. We'll give them the roles so that those 4 users will be able to access this. I'll give them the circulation roles as well. Circulation desk roles, I should say. And we're good. Now, let's go first. First, it should be showing everything, but let's confirm that. So, let's say our own comes in. We'll just do our own. We don't, no, we'll do them all just in case someone wants to make sure. So we'll come into analytics shared with me. There we are. He'll pin it. This time everyone's going to pin it. Here we are. He clicks, and now he'll see everything. There we go. And Susan, let's see if she sees everything. Sign out. Susan. We won't test Carolyn. She sees everything anyway. Okay. So he'll pin it as well. And he sees everything as well. That was Susan, or she, excuse me. And now Tim. So Tim logs in. He'll pin it as well. And he sees everything. Great. Let's also check. You see, I left these extra tabs open. That's why I had something funny going on. Let's check Carolyn anyway. We'll be thorough here. Then we're going to add the filter, check them again. So Carolyn comes in, shared with me, pins, opens. We're giving it a serious workout today. Sees everything. Now, let's go take that workbook and add in our new special filter. The one that I copied. So Alicia goes in. Alicia's the design analytics. And she goes into data visualization. Analytics, access data visualization. goes to that report. Here it is. And now we're going to add a filter. A way to add a filter in analytics and data visualization. I'm going to hover my mouse up on the top right before that thing that looks like a stops, like what's it called? The thing that's at the corner of a street where there's red light, green light, and yellow light. What is that called? In any case, I'm going to put my mouse to the left of it. You see these three dots? A stoplight. Yeah, a stoplight. Thank you. So I'll click these three dots, and now I have add expression filter. And I'm just going to paste in what we copied before and apply. That's all. That's all we need to do. Oh, we need to save as well. In fact, one time it didn't work, and it was because it wasn't saved. Okay, now it's saved. Now let's give this a test. Sign out. Aaron should see the art library. Here we go. Session 2, DV, items and libraries. Beautiful. He only sees the art library. Let's try Susan. Susan should see the science library, if I remember correctly. And sure enough, she sees the science library. Tim should see the education and the music. Let's take a look. Analytics. And only sees the education and the music. And let's make sure nothing got ruined, that we didn't create a regression here with Carolyn. Carolyn doesn't have analytics library level consumer role at all. She should continue to see everything. And she sees everything. Okay, so everything worked well. In summary, we're going to look at the rest of the PowerPoint in a minute, but in summary, we have 4 users. 3 of them have library level analytics consumer roles for specific libraries. 1 of them has no library level analytics consumer roles. We created reports. We created an analytics report with a prompt and a DV workbook. In all 3 cases, we added a filter to the analytics report, a filter to the analytics prompt, a filter to the data visualization workbook. We logged in as each of those 4 users, and we saw only the libraries which they are allowed to see according to their library level analytics consumer role. Let's make sure we didn't miss anything here. These are the steps. We had a basic workbook. In fact, this looks very similar to the one we just made. We also went here to the template. We did the physical items. Here we did the fulfillment one. By the way, it's the same code I see for the fulfillment in the physical items, but we take it from the correct subject area anyway, in case in the future it changes. We went into the DV workbook. We clicked those 3 dots next to the stoplight and got the add expression filter, pasted in our filter, and saw it on top. Then when we checked the different users, we only saw the relevant library or libraries. Okay, that completes what I need to show, but let's go take a look if there's anything else in the chat. Rafi, you want to take that question? Someone asks if we know fancy SQL Can
Yeah,
we construct?
Can we
So the
construct this to
question,
work on? hmm
go ahead. You want to say the question and the
No, I
answer?
mean, the truth,
Well, let's say the
I don't
question
think
for
so.
everybody. If we know a
Yeah,
fancy SQL, can we construct this to work on other library fields, e.g. checkout library? Go ahead, Rafi.
yeah, no, no. So I don't think so. I was actually trying to reach someone out and
Checkout
check
library.
this.
A lot of times these terminologies are interesting, but let's go see something right now. We
Yeah,
still have 14 minutes, so let's have a little fun.
I mean, you can definitely try, and we
No,
can.
no.
Yeah.
Let's make sure we all understand each other. Let's do it that way. Let's play around a bit. What else are we going to do for the next 14 minutes? So first of all, let's define what is meant by the checkout library.
Right.
So let me come in here, access analytics. So we're talking about the fulfillment person who asked, correct? Person who asked, you're talking about the fulfillment? Okay.
Yeah, correct.
Yes,
Susan says
correct. Yeah, I
correct.
saw the.
Yeah, right. So I would think that that might be that actually might work. Let's
Yeah,
see.
yeah, because we're
Yeah.
we're doing it on the whole
We're still in
library
the
level.
fulfillment.
Let's
Yeah.
see. Yeah, yeah.
hmm
Hold on a minute. I'm just going to close this, come back in. Hold on. We've been giving it a real workout today with all our logins, logouts, access analytics, access DV, yeah, it hasn't worked this hard in such a short amount of time in a long time. Okay. So let's make a report here. Create analysis, fulfillment subject area. And when you say checkout, are you referring to the return circulation desk, loan circulation desk, or something else? Until you answer, I will take it from here. So we're saying, can you, person who asked, can you, loan circulation desk? Okay. So that's the library description. Library code. Let's get the library code and the library name. Delete. And I'm just going to change this just so we're sure what we're all talking about. This is going to be the loan circulation desk library code. And this is going to be the loan circulation desk library name, just so we remember what we're looking at. And all I'm going to add there is number of loans. Not in-house, because if it was in-house, okay. Results. Okay. Now we will save as. And we'll save this right where we've been now. This is going to be called session 2 again. And this is going to be number of loans per circulation desk. And already now, I'll come into the criteria, make this a little larger, and say Alma, subject area contents, fulfillment, library code active filter, okay. Let's see what's going to happen. Save. Real suspense. Okay, analytics objects list. And add a new one. So this is going to be here. This one per circulation desk. Save. We'll give it some roles. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Okay, I always say the best way to know is to try it or read the documentation, but it's more fun trying it. Now let's see what's going to happen here. I'm going to sign out. Let's start as Tim. Tim should see the education and something else. Education and music. So he comes in, shared with me. Here it is. Nope. It doesn't work for the loan circulation desks.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the answer of that one. I'm just going to try one more. Sign out, because there's funny things with you see, there's situations where libraries may have changed, or an item may have been part of a different library, and then later it may have been loaned. There's
Right.
situations with that. In any case, exactly as that report was made, the answer is you cannot use this filter. I'm just going to try this one as well, just to be 100% sure. So this one's seeing only Maine and Science. You see, they are seeing limited. They're definitely seeing limited. Now I'm Susan. Susan is seeing different. Susan is supposed to see only the Science, but she's seeing this one as well. So each user is seeing something different. We need to see exactly what the story is there. And again, one circulation desk can work from multiple libraries. So we need to look more in depth here. Yeah, it could be science books like you just wrote. Science books checked out at the it could be many things. But we're seeing that each user is seeing something different. So that already says something. Okay, are there any other questions or comments from anybody? Okay, Rafi, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No.
Okay. Someone writes here, by the way, regarding what we're looking at now, if the item was transferred to another library for the actual checkout. So there could be many reasons. The filter is definitely doing something because each user saw something different. We need to think of all the different scenarios that could cause something like this. In any case, thanks,
I will
everybody.
look into it, by the way. I'll just add,
okay.
I will look into it. Yeah.
Great.
Thanks for
Great.
bringing this to our attention.
Okay, so thanks everybody. We will be posting the recording as usual, notifying you that the recording is ready. The recording will be available via our education and webinars page, which, by the way, is brand new. We released a brand new education and webinars page this past Sunday. Maybe you've already seen it. It will also be on our YouTube channel. It will also be on the ALMA 2023 Roadmap webinar series page. So have a nice day and thanks for joining. Bye-bye.